And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We're talking about the boos. We are addressing the boos. BOOS. Yep, thumbs down at F1 75. We're going to be looking at Jos Verstappen's opinion, Max Verstappen opinions, a lot of other people's opinions on the boos. And the interesting thing is, should you boo? Can you boo? Should you be allowed to boo? Or is it absolutely disrespectful? All that and more after this. So this is Max. This is Max Verstappen's dad, Jos Verstappen, talking about those boos. But before we get into that, have a look at this. I want you to have not this. It's Max Verstappen. Listen to this. Verstappen fans booing Lewis Hamilton. Yes, shock horror. It happens. Max Verstappen fans booing, and this is what Verstappen says about the boos from his hometown.
I know. It feels like
in
it is, though.
When you have
Holland.
the home team and the away team is coming, they naturally do boo.
There we go.
I don't say it's correct, but it does happen. It's a natural instinct I think people have. Lewis, I think, already said he isn't bothered by it, so that's the most important.
Yeah, Lewis said he wasn't bothered about it. We kind of accepted it. And then this is for Lewis Hamilton. Whilst I appreciate Max Verstappen does indeed get booed, he does get booed. But, so Jos Verstappen, he's come out and said he wasn't impressed by this reception, the reception for his son and the Red Bull team boss Christian Horner. So he's sticking up for Christian Horner for once. What a change of year makes. That they received at the F1 75 launch event in London. The two Red Bull men were they were met with less than positive reactions. Now here the issue is, I've listened to it. No, I won't play it all for you. There were cheers and boos. It wasn't like Max Verstappen getting booed at other races, potentially, or on the podium. It wasn't like Hamilton getting boos places. It wasn't the biggest boo, funny enough, was for the FIA itself. Now, the appearance of Max Verstappen on screen early in the show prompted a mixed reaction from the attending crowd. While there was plenty of cheering for the full-time world champion, the Dutch driver was also greeted with a loud chorus of boos. Given that Verstappen's success in recent years have come at the expense of British rivals, and those British rivals are very much Lewis Hamilton, who maybe or maybe not should have been an 8-time champion, Verstappen a 3-time champion, but also Lando Norris. Now later in the show, if you watched all of it, Christian Horner took to the stage and he was again greeted with a few smattering of boos. They're making a much bigger deal on this than I really, really thought they would. It's just, I don't get it. I mean, I don't really get it. Let's have a look at it. Let's see how bad the boos were. This is the Red Bull livery reveal, okay? Obviously, the volume's a bit low. There's the old Liam Lawson with his new haircut. Okay, and if we forward it. Here we go. Cheers. Maybe the odd boo. Kind of hard to hear, really, isn't it? Now let's have a look at this. Oh, there are boos on this one as well.
Also joined tonight by some of the biggest names in Formula One. Like our reigning world champion. Yes, he is so excited to be here right now. Some drivers just want to drive, not this guy. Oh yeah.
Mainly cheers.
Give it up.
You can hear a few boos. Boos. You can hear a few boos, but it's mainly cheers. So, I mean, let's be fair. These people are making an absolute mountain out of a molehill full of clicks, just as I guess I'm a hypocrite there if I'm going to have a go against them. But still, the pantomime-like drama can be attributed largely to driver-related allegiances or alliances, given that the majority of the British public attending raised the roof for both Norris and Hamilton. What do you expect? As Max Verstappen said, they are in the UK. The UK drivers are naturally going to be more popular. Now, if this was held in Holland, they may well be getting the boos rather than Max Verstappen, who'd be getting the cheers. So George Russell and rookie driver British Oliver Behrman Also, cheers. But the extent of the booing came as a surprise to Red Bull, even with the foreknowledge that the crowd was there to cheer their home heroes. Now, Red Bull opting against their drivers speaking on stage. Some of the observers suggested this was in response to the booing levelled at Horner. To be honest, I don't really know. But they said Red Bull never planned on having Verstappen or Liam Lawson speak early on in the planning phase of the ceremony. Now, Jos Verstappen, yes, that statue of virtue, father of Max, has spoken out about the reception Red Bull receives on the night in London. Now, while he and Horner haven't always seen eye to eye, as we mentioned, particularly during what was a tense 2024 season at the beginning, WhatsApp-gate, etc., where, funny enough, Jos was clear that he felt it shameful that Horner and Verstappen were greeted with negativity. Shameful. How dare they? Now, in itself, it was thought a reasonable setup. Only I thought it was shameful what happened there with Red Bull Racing. Shameful, Verstappen told Race Express that Christian Horner was booed like that, and Max was booed too. Look, then you do it for Formula One. You are there to promote the sport, and then you are booed by the public. I don't think that's acceptable. I get it, because Max is the only one who fires up those Englishmen and says exactly how things are. Yeah, okay, Jos. But I don't think this is acceptable. It's really a disappointment what happened here. Disappointment in the crowd's reaction was also felt. To be fair, the main booing was for the FIA. That was, you play that. Unequivocal boos. And the FIA are making a big push, apparently, to tackle the issue of online abuse through its United Against Online Abuse initiative. And there are concerns that the effects of this soccer-like no. I've been to Silverstone so many times. This is Silverstone. Yes, there were boos for Max. There were boos for Christian Horner. But Red Bull fans were treated with respect. It wasn't like we, as in like the British people when they were there, pointed at them and laughed. I mean, there were so many Brits supporting Max Verstappen as well. It's just ridiculous. I was there supporting McLaren. I was there supporting Lewis Hamilton. So I was in the we, as in cheering for the Brits. But at no point did I point at the Red Bulls and shout, ha ha, loser, etc. And I don't. So I think these are really, let's just say, over-egging the pudding. And the FIA have brought out a statement in relation to that, which I think I'll try and find in a bit when we go on. Fans, tribalist Verstappen boos at F175 to be examined by the FIA, and this is from the race. So the race is saying that the FIA are setting to discuss the fallout from what it calls was a disappointing and tribalist. And it wasn't. It was just fans. Okay. Let's address then whether the fact that you should or could or are allowed to boo. At the end of the day, is it disrespectful? Maybe. Yeah. But you paid your ticket. You paid for that ticket. And goodness knows how much it was on the F175. So as long as I think it wasn't absolutely obscene or vile booing, I think you should be allowed to do. Because you paid your ticket. Once again, I'm not, is it disrespectful? Yeah, I guess it is a bit. But once again, you paid for your ticket. Don't let me tell you. For example, when you go to Grand Prix, for example, Silverstone, to get in the grandstands can cost hundreds for a son. 300, 400, 500, 600, up sometimes. So I'm not being funny. When you pay that much for a ticket, once again, as long as you don't into offensive language or swearing, are you allowed to boo? Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. You paid for your ticket. You are paying for the people's wage. You're paying to watch the Grand Prix at home. If you want to boo your TV, I know not many people are going to hear, but absolutely fair play. You paid for that Sky package. You paid for the F1 app to watch Formula One. You should be allowed to boo if that is what you choose to do. And I don't understand this tribalism and stuff. No one's. We have had stories of people having issues, but they're luckily, obviously unlike football, they're very few and far between. So this is really, really, we're milking this for whatever it's worth. So while the glittering event at the O2 was deemed an overall success, the race says, one of the negative aspects of the night was that world champion Verstappen and Red Bull Christian Horner were loudly booed by the crowd. It didn't really come across that loud. Is it a negative aspect? Not really. A bit of disrespect, maybe. But then you're in the UK. Are you surprised that the man that ended Lewis Hamilton's streak and very controversial start, as well as basically bends the rules to Formula One, and that's carried on all the way into 2024. Maybe because he's a genius, maybe because he takes it too far. But when you're that near the edge, that near the rule, you are going to potentially get booed, and not just by British fans. I might add, also booed by Mexican fans as well was Max Verstappen. For different reasons. Not really addressed much though, is it? It's always the British, apparently. Hornet in particular faced a challenging moment as he found himself alone on stage facing a hostile... Well, it's not a hostile reception. They're not throwing tomatoes and... the race, please. The boos came shortly after the fans also gave a loud negative response when the FAA logos were shown on the screen. They were allowed to do that. The FAA, to be fair, the FAA aren't crying too much about being booed themselves, but the FAA's brushed off how it was jeered, as it is well aware that regulatory bodies are rarely seen the subject of much affection. No, it's because you're rubbish, FAA, let's be fair. Mohammed Ben Sulayem has fronted a campaign, United Against Online Abuse, which I think is a good idea, and that aims to drive out toxicity and social media abuse from motorsport. And what happened at F175 is clearly triggered, let's be fair, in inverted commas, because people are just so, just so easy to be offended, aren't they? Has now triggered some internal discussions as the FAA felt this was more than just a pantomime oh my gosh. Instead, sources have indicated that the matter is likely to be discussed at next week's FAA World Motorsport Council. Wow, they don't have anything better to do they? Commenting on the situation, an FAA spokesperson said, great rivalries throughout the history of motorsport have contributed to making it such an exciting experience for fans. They carried on by saying, but what underpins sport at all levels is a culture of respect. Okay. As such, it was disappointing to hear the crowd's tribalist reaction to the FIA Formula One World Champion Max Verstappen and his Red Bull team principal and CEO Christian Horner at the F1 lot. What underpins sport at all levels is a culture of respect. I mean, let's be fair. I'm pretty sure the FIA need a thesaurus to completely understand what they mean by culture of respect. Because let's be fair, for F1 fans, very much so, Belgium 2021, for example, that was the FIA and Formula One. Some of the ridiculous stewarding decisions, I'd argue it's a culture of disrespect towards the fans, a culture of disrespect towards the sport many of us love. No swearing, get it? 10,000 euros if you swear. Yeah, I mean, come on. Ridiculous. They carried on saying Max and Christian have contributed greatly to the sport we love. Yes, they have. In the season ahead, we should not lose sight of that. I don't think anyone does. I think even if you've got the harshest Max Verstappen critic, they would still have to put their hands up and say the guy's pretty good. Okay? Oh, they're just kidding themselves. Now, as part of the FAA's commitment to protect the yes, they used another word, get a thesaurus, integrity of the sport. I mean, this is the same people using integrity of the sport when, 2021 Abu Dhabi, I'm going to bring that up. The penalty, or not, the way the penalty was with Lando Norris, for example, at the United States Grand Prix. I mean, the inconsistencies of the penalties as well. And they say, we are leading a coalition tackling online abuse in sport under the banner of our United Against Online Abuse campaign, which I think is a good thing. Sometimes fans do, sometimes fans go too far. Sometimes you hear it in football and other things. I guess it can happen in Formula One. We don't hear it as much, as I said. When I've been to watch races, and I've been to watch over 10 of them, I've never really had an issue with anyone. Everyone there, F1 fans are some of the nicest fans. Whatever team they support, a driver they support. I've never really bumped into any horrible Formula One fans. They're so lovely. And they said, we stand with all of our competitors. Well, you didn't stand with Lewis when he lost that title. Sorry. Officials, volunteers and fans to unite against this growing threat. We urge it's like this growing threat. I mean, look, what are they talking about? We urge the sporting community to consider the impact of their actions both online and offline. The reception that Red Bull received has triggered suggestions that the team and Verstappen could be reluctant to get involved in a real. Well, there you go. Just take your dummies out, guys. Verstappen's recent past of tough rivalries has included controversial moments with British drivers, with the likes of Lewis Hamilton, who Verstappen beat, obviously, they're not acknowledging the championship, and Norris and George Russell. But then instead of saying Max Verstappen is having issues with the British drivers on track, three different drivers, I might speak, why not think, well, where is the common denominator there? You could make an argument, it's Max Verstappen, rather than the British drivers. there we go. But Max Verstappen refuses to return after the F175 booth. Let's see. I mean, is this really true? I don't know. They definitely won't see me. Okay. I mean, didn't you say something along the lines of? I mean, look, this is WWE. It's Roman Reigns. He's a good guy in 2017. Oh, they're chanting "You suck." Yeah, I know. Wrestling is a pantomime, but he's a good guy there. I'm just saying, didn't Max Verstappen say something about going into the enemy camp? Wait there.
When the home team and the away team is coming, they naturally do boo. I don't say it's correct, but it does happen. It's a natural instinct I think people have. Lewis, I think, already said he isn't bothered by it.
There you go. Apparently, Max Verstappen clearly is, though. That's water for ducks about that. We'll get into that in a bit. So, at the reigning F175 event, as we know, Verstappen was booed. Max Verstappen's father got quite upset about it, and he commented on the situation, saying how reasonable it is. British fans, some of whom may still hold a grudge, could be reacting to Max's dominance in the sport. Since that season, maybe Max Verstappen has claimed 4 consecutive titles, and that Christian Horner was booed. They're talking about it's not good, and they put no. Max has no appetite for that. To be booed like that in front of 25,000 people. He also says, if this is in England next year, they definitely won't see me. Just throw my dummy out the pram. Because at the end of the day, it is your job. Partly of your job to go there and do the launches. Does it suck to get booed? Yes, it absolutely does. I'm not saying it is nice, but you just heard him talk about the boos for Lewis Hamilton. And water off a duck's back. Max Verstappen boos for Red Bull driver. Water off a duck's back, says Christian Horner. And that was at the United States Grand Prix, not England. This is in 2023. Thank you very much. He's described any booing from Max Verstappen as water off a duck's back after he was jeered by fans at the United States Grand Prix on Sunday. He took his 50th win. However, he was booed as he lifted up his trophy. And asked about the booing ahead of the Mexican City Grand Prix, Horner said, I don't think Max is going to get the warmest reception in Mexico, but that's water off a duck's back. And it was far from an easy race for Verstappen because, let's be fair, Lewis Hamilton didn't do too bad. And Verstappen was still able to make big moves, and they speak about the race. But I think it is throwing his toys out the pram, sadly. I like Max in terms of he is one of the greatest drivers of this generation. In terms of his ability, he doesn't deserve boos, but if the fans choose to boo him, there's nothing he can. I don't think there's anyone he can do about it. How many times have we seen Martin Brundle, Johnny Herbert, I think, and others addressing the boos, for example, for Vettel, for Rosberg, for Verstappen, for Hamilton, depending where you are. It is the pantomime of Formula One. I don't think it's offensive. It's in terms of, it's just boos. Max Verstappen said himself, well, I go home to take the silverware anyway. So there, completely agree. And that's a really good way of putting it. I'm not going to come back here again because people don't like me. He got cheers as well. Get over it. Just like Lewis Hamilton had to get over it when they were booing him at Hungary. And he had to get over it when they were booing him in Holland. And he did. And we didn't hear all this hoo-ha about it. So get over it, everyone. Look, I love Formula One. Like anyone else. It is one of it's the best sport in the world, isn't it? I think. One of the best sports in the world. I'm pretty sure we can deal with a little bit of booing here and there. Comment below, let me know if you completely disagree. If you do, fair enough. Hey, I'll happily have you on this show for a debate. If you vehemently disagree, just leave your detail. Just mention it in the comments, and we can have a chat. If you made it to the end, though, that's absolutely amazing. Just by clicking on this video is more than enough for me. Hit that subscribe button if you can. I'd really, really appreciate it. But until then, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. See you again soon. But above all else, stay safe.